Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, the out of the wonderful year of Sonic the Hedgehog has come. We had an awesome second movie back in April. We had a decent enough collection back in June. We had the really great Sonic Frontiers last month, and now we have Sonic Prime on Netflix, which we are going to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just say,
Help me.
quick general thoughts. Yeah, I help Wolf because he's suffering here. But I'll say, just to those who are new, welcome, great to have you here. But to those, how we're approaching this is that we're gonna doing a quick, non-spoilery discussion, just talk about our general thoughts about the show, what we like, dislike, and then when we're about to go into spoilers, we'll let you know so that if you didn't watch the show, you could close this, go watch it, and come back later. Because also this show is only 2 days old, so it's still very new.
No.
We don't want.
The first episode is about 7 days old because apparently it had a
Yeah, well,
premiere in Roblox of all places.
yeah, because Roblox had like the Sonic thing. I don't play Roblox. I had to
I know.
wait,
I don't
but
either.
the
How
entire
weird.
but the entire thing, yeah, but the entire thing, the entire season, I should say, came out only 2 days ago. So spoilers are at Omega level. But so non-spoilers discussion, as I guess also like I'm the Sonic guy out of the two of us. I'm the big fan. I am the one who's, I don't want to say obsessed, even though I am kinda, but I'm the big fan here. Wolf is the
I'm along for the
you describe
ride.
yourself. Mm. You're along for the ride. Like Wolf is not a big Sonic guy. That's
Mm.
the point.
No, like my experience with Sonic has been the two movies I've watched that we've done on the Outcast. Go check those out. This show now, and then a few of the old games, and that's been it. Like,
All right.
and when I say old games, I mean like the old Sega games. That's been it.
You
Like that
like the
was my
Genesis,
Sonic. Yeah,
the Genesis stuff.
yeah.
That's what you need to know. So, as the Sonic fan, I think it's a good show, a great show, even, and a wonderful way to end 2022, which was a fantastic year for Sonic. But there are some hiccups here and there that I think prevented from being great. Like I'll say like great, but not excellent in a sense. There are stuff that I really love here, but there are like the animation and a lot of the characteristics. I enjoyed the idea of the story, but when it comes to some other stuff, there are some cracks which we will talk about. Wolf, what do you think?
I thought it was very definitively okay.
Mhm. So
I'm
like
like, I'm not a fan, so again, take my opinion with a grain of salt, right? Like, I'm not a Sonic fan. Absolutely, there are probably Sonic fans who will say this was great. This was exactly what we wanted. For me, as
actually
well, I mean, yeah, you right, and you just did.
No, like I just want to say that the overall reception seems to be kind of mixed, actually. But
I'm surprised. Well, I'm surprised and not surprised by that. I feel like for Sonic fans, for the most part, I think you're getting what you would want from this show. From a first season, I feel like this is one of those shows that I hope, but I feel like I hope as well that it does. But I feel like this is one of those shows that the first season's a little on the okay side, not great, not terrible, just very meh. But the later seasons will pick it up more. It
I
feels like it's
guess
going to
this
be
is
one of those
something.
shows.
I guess I should stress Netflix ordered apparently like I think 24
Yeah, around,
episodes.
yeah.
So this is one of those cases where they ordered a certain amount and then some of them are season one and then the other amount will be season two. I
Mhm.
don't like this. I don't like this trend. We've talked about it
Yeah,
plenty times
like
before.
it continues to
Not
come up.
Yeah, not a fan of this trend, but but at the same time I know it's a trend. Bitching about it ain't gonna fix anything,
Well, it's
but
it's just one of
also
those things where I feel like we've not come to that point where people have, if you're going to do this, especially like, and there's Netflix isn't the only company that's at fault for this as well. We've seen it
No,
with
it's just stream.
Rescue Riders and Nine Realms as well, and a few other places too. But it's always one of these issues of when they do this, I feel like they've not figured out exactly where they need or want to cut yet, right? Like for the ending point for the season, because I'll say
Yeah,
this
because I
ending, this
think
kind of out of nowhere, it doesn't feel very
yeah,
satisfying. It feels like this is like, hey, this is your mid-season ending. Have fun for however long it takes us to get to the next one, which could be a
so
couple months,
this is
could be
what
years.
yeah, no, but for what people have said, like the next season isn't too far away, and I hope so. But it's also one of those, I hate that I have to say this about Sonic, but like I'm giving other shows shit for this. I'll give this shit for this too. I just hate those cliffhanger endings. And but for the record, though, I will say I think the show has enough to sustain itself as it is. It's not
I'll
something
agree.
that's like just because it's the first season, it doesn't mean that this first season is just set up or and a lot of things like a lot of things are being set up and are built for the future, but it's not that. Maybe it's because it's Sonic and people are kind of assuming, well, who Sonic the Hedgehog is, so they don't feel the need to actually set up everything from like the basics.
Hmm.
So maybe that helps. I don't know. But one thing I will say, again, we can talk about this more as we go into spoilers, but one thing that kind of, honestly kind of breaks the show a bit more for me is when apparently the creator says, and some of the creators of the show say that this is canonical to the games.
I saw that as well.
And I have a problem with that. Not necessarily that if you want to make it canonical, by all means, go right ahead. Why not have one, because up until this point, all the Sonic shows have been their own continuity. Even Sonic X, which adapts some of the game storylines, counts as its own continuity.
Hmm.
And so suddenly, when this show is like, oh, this is canon. This is gonna take place, whenever you play a future game, or like if you just came out of Sonic Frontiers a month ago. This is like this is like in the same universe. These are the same characters. These are the same people. And especially when Frontiers was really big about establishing a continuity for the Sonic franchise, it kind of breaks when you realize that characters are not necessarily acting like their canon counterparts all the time. The basics are there. Do not get me wrong, these are not different characters, these are the same characters, but when it comes to this is canon, some things are a bit hokey. And I think the main problem is actually Sonic himself. Like I've seen people call him dumb. No, I don't think he's dumb. Like it's basically the one character flaw that he always has is that he's reckless. That's the main thing that's established here.
Hmm.
But I feel like they try to kind of combine him with the video game Sonic with the movie Sonic, and no problem with it. I love movie Sonic just as much. But the problem is, movie Sonic is an origin story, both of them.
Hmm.
So it makes sense if he's, a bit less experienced when he's going on adventures and stuff. But if this is supposed to be the video game Sonic who has been through this to hell and back, I don't buy some of his behavior and some of his mistakes in the show, let's call him that, as someone like him would do. Like,
Well,
again,
yeah, right. Because if it's
some
supposed to
yes, some
be,
no.
because it comes back to like, it feels like we're learning lessons that this character has learned in past games, right?
But I think these are lessons that the character didn't need to learn. He already had that built in, and we just kind of need this because, oh well, a character like this is not interesting. He needs to grow. I get it, but it's also the show kind of tries to have its cake and eat it too,
Hmm.
and so this is where it fumbles a bit. But I don't think it fumbles everything enough for me to call it a bad show. I still enjoyed my time. There's a lot to like here,
Yeah, no, like
and
I had, again, as I said with the movies, I had fun with this. I think, it's not something that's, so far, it's not something that I think is going to stick with me, but it is something that, what, based off episode 8 and how it ended, like I'm a little curious, and the idea that they've they're going for with this series so far, I'm a little bit curious as to what the future may hold for it. And I hope the next season can add a lot more to it and it gets a lot better, right?
Yeah. That's my hope, because I've always seen a lot of people like, oh, Sonic Prime is the best Sonic show. Sonic Prime is, not the best Sonic show. Honestly, I like the show a lot, but I also think it's hard for me to say where it ranks when this is the first, like, I guess Sonic X and Sad AM kind of fall under that. That's not true, but like, when Sonic Underground is still the bottom, people, do not try and argue that with me. But when it comes to the other shows, it's kind of unfair to compare a show that's still going and kind of is very reliant on the plot to. I think it's kind of unfair to compare it to the other shows as of now that they've ended.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a Sonic show that ended on a cliffhanger before, Sad AM. Not to criticize Sad AM. Sad AM is a great show, but fuck the executives who canceled it. So overall, I'm not sure if I'll say it's the best one yet. I still need to wait and see, but I think it's a good one. It's definitely a good one.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're not going to be wasting your time if you're a Sonic fan. If you're not a Sonic fan like me, I would say, personally, I would say that, you'll probably find more enjoyable stuff to watch than this. But I didn't hate my time with it by any means. Like, I had fun. There's definitely some laughs here and there.
If you're not a fan, I'd say watch the first episode, see what you feel, and if you like what you see, keep going.
Yeah,
if you don't, then then there's nothing here for you.
That's
but
fair.
I guess this is all for the non-spoilery discussion. Shall we move on to spoilers?
Sure, let's jump right in. Sonic Prime.
Actually, before spoilers, one thing I do want to say, when I talked about canon, and I know it shouldn't really matter because the characters changed voices so many times, but also when you say this is canon, suddenly there's a new voice cast. It's like, wait a minute, what?
Well,
for the record, I know the reason. I know the reason for the voice change, and I know that it's because this show is made in Canada, so they have this rule that if a show is made in Canada, the voice actors need to be Canadian too. I get that.
Well, not all of them have to be Canadian, but I think a majority of them do. It's like union laws that they have, because one of these is, very famous Jacksepticeye. He's like that. Yeah. He's not Canadian, but he's like, apparently in this show.
He has a cameo in one of the later episodes.
I didn't even realize it was him until I looked up through Wikipedia. It's like, he's in this.
Yeah,
weird.
He has a cameo, like he's a background character in one of the last few episodes. But for the record, though, because I said it, no offense to the voice cast, I think all of them did great. All of the voice actors.
I want to point out, like, if we're going to talk about that, like, some of these voice actors were playing multiple different characters. I'm not saying, like, they were playing, different versions of the same character. They were playing, like, very much different personality type characters. And for some of them, I could not tell that it was the same voice actor. So credit to them. I think they do quite a lot, because this voice cast is very small.
Yeah, it's a very small, but I really appreciate them for that. Again, I love the voice actors. They do great. Actually, I just look at the Wikipedia here. Apparently, just Knuckles has like one for his regular self and one for every other version. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have Vincent Tong playing like different versions of Knuckles, and like 3 other characters that are, again, all different. And I'll admit, I could not, until I saw the wiki, it's like I thought it was all different people playing these characters, but it's not. It's one person. It's like, wow, this voice cast is super small for the amount of people here. Wow, that's actually, clap to them. Very much talented.
I could tell that some of the different versions were the same person, and but at the same time, again, major kudos to them for managing to do that. This is not an easy feat. So again, just because I'm saying that, just because it's kind of not the main and it's not the voice actors, it doesn't. No insult to the voice actors. All of them are great. And Devon Mack I think this how you say, Devon Mack. if you happen to listen to this, welcome as another voice for Sonic the Hedgehog. You did awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
3, 2,
2, 1.
1. Spoilers.
Still here, good. So I don't think there's much point in doing this episode by episode because the show kind of has an ongoing plot, kinda. But what I
It's
will
a little
say,
weird how they do it.
and that's exactly what I was about to say. In terms of structure, it's hard to pinpoint a structure for this show. And because, let's say, when it starts, I'm like, okay, so we're doing, Eggman tries to get that, that,
Paradox
what's it called?
Prism.
The Paradox Prism out of this thing. So, they fight him. Sonic runs to try and stop him, but he accidentally breaks the thing. And he's thrown into an alternate universe which is called New York, and so he travels around and he sees that there's a family of Eggmans ruling the city, and that there are rebels that try to take it back. Tells is kind of an secluded loner, and then so you think, oh, so this is gonna be the plot. It's gonna be like Sonic Forces, but good. Kind of an alternate, kind of a universe. If Sonic Forces was, what happened if Sonic lost? This is like what happened if Sonic just didn't exist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So interesting. I'm digging this. And then by the end of episode 3, Sonic is just teleported thanks to a piece of the Paradox Prism. And episodes 4 and 5 are suddenly in a jungle area. So at this point, I'm like, oh, so we're gonna do this thing that like every few episodes you'll jump for a different kind of universe until he has all the pieces of the prism. But then nope, episode 6 back to
New York.
Yeah,
and we learn out like things have changed somewhat. Like Tails stole the shard, and they're still and they're fighting a revolution against like the Eggman family now. And then episode 7, brand new place.
Yeah, and then
we're
episode
in
7
pirate land.
Yeah, and like then in episode 8 though, there's this point, there's the thing where suddenly the Eggman family kind of interrogates 9, the New York Tales, and they get to they follow Sonic to the pirate world, and there's this big climax there, which is great for the record. But then after Sonic gets the Paradox Prime, he's suddenly confronted by Shadow in between dimensions, and Shadow tells him there's no home because you destroyed it, and cut.
Well, then Punch, Sonic, Shattuck punches Sonic, and Shadow punches Sonic, and Shattuck. I can speak English.
I just want to point out, Wolf. Because you probably don't know this, but there's the best piece of Sonic flash animation. No one will change my opinion on that. It's a flash animation called Nazo Unleashed. Go check it out if you haven't. And the guy was inspired by Dragon Ball because there's a fusion of Sonic and Shadow in there, which he called Shattuck. So,
Sonic fandom.
You know what? I'll agree with you for the most part, but no, Nazo Unleashed is fucking awesome.
Fair enough.
I will die on.
I've not seen it. But yeah, like you get to see Shadow punch Sonic, and then, as you said, just hard cut. That's it. Credits. Nothing else. It's like it was so jarring when that's where they cut at, and I was like, wait, that's it? What?
Yeah, actually,
what just happened?
My mom could attest because I was yelling, "What?" when that happened.
Like, it was so shocking. It was just such a hard cut. Like, generally speaking, when we've seen shows get cut up like this, at least the cut isn't that hard. But this one was just done. That's it. Credits. See you next season.
Yeah, like when Shadow punches this, tries to punch Sonic, and Sonic escapes, and there's this, I think Shadow just punched the footage so hard that it stopped.
He hit the camera.
Yeah, no, he didn't hit the camera. It's not positioned like that, but yeah, like imagine it.
He hit the
They should have
editor.
ended it with him. Yeah, he punched the editor. You know something? This is how I act when I edit, and suddenly stuff don't make sense.
Fair enough.
Like, oh, the footage is lost. Yeah, that's
But yeah, it's just,
perfectly
it
makes
was
sense.
so jarring of a cut. That's what threw me. And there's nothing after that. That's, that's when I was like, wait, I'm not missing anything, right? Had to go look it up and like, no, it's only 8 episodes. There's 24 though, but there's only 8 and they're just releasing the other ones later. Like, oh, we're doing
Mhm.
that thing. I had to make sure.
That's
Okay.
that's a trend now, and I guess they want Sonic to have good things in 2023 as well.
Again,
So that
I get it, right? Like if you have some ready to go, you want to go ahead and release it. But if you're doing this, you really, really, if you know you're going to do something like this, you really need to like. I feel like Netflix just isn't letting people like, hey, we're going to release what you have now. Pick a good point to cut at. Like I feel like they're not giving people that heads up when they do
I
this.
honestly don't know if they do, because throughout the season they do kind of have those hints that Shadow does. Like whenever Sonic runs really fast, Shadow just kind of shows up and it's like, Sonic, keep running, I'm stuck, And so it implies they had the plan for this, but then suddenly it's like, all right, so we need to cut here, and I guess we didn't really do anything with plot relevant with Shadow besides introducing him. And I
Mhm.
guess people want us to do something with him because goddamn, Shadow is popular, and we need to do something good with him plot wise.
I mean,
So
to be fair to
it is.
them, there's worse places they could have cut at. Like they could have like,
Oh,
hey, welcome, welcome to the jungle. Cut. End of season. Wait, what?
and the more we talk about this, the more I think that streaming services are doing the opposite of what people like them about them in the first place. And that's how when there's a show on TV, so they will do it that you have an episode a week, and then after like a few episodes, the show would like take a break for a bit
Hmm.
until it comes back.
Hmm.
I think they're doing that just with streaming, but
But
somehow it's even
yeah.
more annoying
Well, yeah,
because they
because
end on this.
like that was Netflix's entire selling point, right? Like their entire reason for existence in the first place was watch things at your pace, right? And you can still
Yeah,
do that. I'm not claiming you can't. And maybe it's a bit entitled, but it feels odd that we're just, hey, instead of waiting for something to be done, let's throw out what we have and then you'll get the rest when we have it. Because it feels like people are just going to sit back and say, okay, why would I watch anything on your service when I know I'm not going to get the completed product until who knows how long from now,
until a few
and
years.
I might as well
Yeah, and
just
it's also,
wait
but
and
it's
not
also
pay you
like
anything and then get
and
the
you
completed
see,
product and then pay you.
I've seen people make this argument with this show actually, that they're like, oh well, if it ends on a cliffhanger, then I might as well
Yeah,
wait.
I might as well
But
skip
then
and wait it, and then they may never watch
but
it because they forget about it.
not only that, but if they don't watch it as it premieres, then Netflix is gonna go, oh, there's no interest in this, so guess the show is canceled
Yeah.
now, and we're not gonna release it.
I mean, to be
So
fair to Netflix, when they pay for a set of episodes, they don't, they pay for, they get, they stick with what they pay for. They don't, generally, they don't tend to like, nah, fuck it. We're
I
done
know,
now.
I know, but
That's
still,
the
like
one good thing you can say about Netflix. When they say, hey,
it
we
can
want this
hurt.
many episodes, they take it. But
Yeah,
I do
they'll
agree with you, it
yeah,
can
they'll
hurt. And
it can hurt
eventually,
like
Netflix
because
could always
uh,
change on that ruling too.
yeah, because I can tell you how I assume they're gonna split it to three seasons, but I can tell you how season three of this is gonna end. What if they have plans for more?
Hmm.
So, and suddenly, just because people decide to wait, we're not gonna get it, and we're gonna get stuck with an even worse cliffhanger. That's the question. I don't think it's gonna be like that, but at the same time, don't take the risk.
Hmm. I agree. Like, I don't like this new thing we're doing either at all. I've continuously been against it, and I will probably continue to be against it. Maybe there's a point we'll get to where people will have kind of figured it out and they'll be able to pace better and do
Or at
their
least,
mid-season cuts better. But
services, if you're gonna do this, at least maybe let the creators know where they're where you want to cut,
mm,
just so But okay, regardless though, again, this is a topic we keep getting into because they keep doing this shit.
Yes.
But back to Sonic Prime.
Watch many of our episodes on this topic in particular. Just go back through all of the Outcast and Berkcast. You'll find them. We've talked about it.
Honestly, you know how they go back to shows today and make a compilations of every time they say a thing?
Oh, God.
Someone needs to make a compilation. It will probably be an entire episode. Who knows?
Possibly. Although it'll probably be an entire
so-
episode of us saying mostly the same thing over and over again. We don't like this. Stop doing
You
it.
know, that's the thing, though.
There might be
you know,
one time. There might be one time where we say, you know what? They did this well. We actually like it, and that's it. That's the different opinion.
So,
But yeah, getting
anyway,
back to Sonic, like
on Sonic Prime's case, I guess, you know, in terms of like the overall season, I'm at least happy that we have some substance in this first season. There are things to cling on to. There are things to enjoy. There are things that, you know, okay, I kind of get the show's shtick. I get the show's characters. I get that. I can enjoy it.
I'll be honest.
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
The cliffhanger still sucks, but at least I can say, you know what? You're not wasting your time. You know, I don't really need to say it's a first season, so let's see how things turn out. There's still stuff that you know are set up for the future, but there's plenty here to also keep it sustainable and worth it with what we have so far. So you were saying?
Yeah. So going back to like we get episode 1, and you know Sonic breaks the crystal, and we get transported to New York. I was pretty quick to pick up on it's not hard to do by any means. Like they're fairly obvious with it. Like, hey, this looks like it's a different universe that didn't have Sonic in it. Apparently, I was pretty quick to pick up on that. And then we get into episode 2, and we're kind of moving along. And I'm like, man, they're getting through this really quickly. I'm curious, what are they going to do for the next 7 episodes, 6 episodes or so? And then we're in a jungle world now, and we're there for about 2 episodes, and then we're gone again.
We talked about this. Back to New York. Yeah, okay. So the structure. What about it?
Well, I'm of two minds about this, because we've seen shows like this before, right? They exist. They're out there. Generally speaking, shows that do stuff like this tend to take, some shows you might get a season, right? Of about 12 episodes, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depends, in like, say, New York, quote unquote. That would have been like you spend your time there, doing everything there. You finally get to the prism, you defeat the big bad guy, and then it would have been, it's not what we were after. It's not exactly what we wanted, but it's one step closer. That teleports us to the next area, and now we go through the process again, right? Like, we've seen those shows. They're not bad. There's plenty of them that are good. Some of them are bad. Just depends on what you're after. This show does that, but it's like sped up to the 10th degree. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I know Sonic, speed, blah, 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 joke, ha, 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 funny. You're great. I don't know if I like it that it's moving through it so quickly, or if I dislike it. A part of me sit here and says, I think it works to the show's credit, because if the show had been like, hey, we're in New York now, and the rest of the season would have been in New York, I don't think it would have been as good.
Yeah, honestly, it's weird that we say that, there's a weird pacing. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. I think the weird pacing starts after the jungle episodes, and we're back to New York.
But it's a very weird pacing, but I do think the pacing works to the show's advantage, to be honest.
Yeah, it's weird. This is why honestly, Sonic or not, this is one of the shows I really had to think of before we started recording, because on the one hand, I'm very happy with it. I got what I want. I had a lot of fun. Go Sonic Prime. On the one hand, but on the other hand, I'm like, the pacing was weird for me, because again, like you said, it feels like the first 3 episodes are something you'll get in like a full 13 episode season. And suddenly we are in a new place, and like on the one hand I thought, okay, this is kind of a cool shtick that we are not in one place throughout the entire season. We are dimension hopping, let's dimension hop all the way. But then it's like, but then when you bring us back to New York for an episode, and even in that episode, there's this point where like Nine, that version, that Universal Tales, takes Sonic to another world, and it's like, okay, I don't care about New York. I'm gonna live here. You live here with me because you're cool. And Sonic tells them, no, I'm gonna save New York because that's what I do. And Nine's like, okay, and he brings them back. Where did this plot point go? It would have been awesome. Give it to me, because honestly, if there was one thing I will say about this show that I loved, is Nine. I love Tails anyway, but seeing a version of Tails where he didn't meet Sonic, he was, and the bullying continued, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna take this into my own, and he comes up with those mechanical tails.
Listen,
that was yeah.
When we got to, I believe it's let me check and make sure. Yeah, episode 6, when like we get back to New York and they're in full revolt, and Tails, Nine saves him, and Nine shows him like, hey, I found this world now, and I'm going to set up everything here, and we're gonna make it a paradise for us. Do you want to stay with me or not? And he comes back, and Sonic goes back to save them, and eventually Nine comes back, right? And the Eggman family, like the Chaos Council, I believe they're called, catches Nine, right? They have that small scene at the end of that episode where Nine seems to like smile at getting caught, and I was like, yo, are they gonna do this thing of he becomes the big bad villain? I'm so down for that. Let's go. Let me see Tails being the villain, and we have to change his mind or some shit. That'd be cool. Let's go with that, because this is a different Tails, and he doesn't give a shit about any of it, because he's, the loner, and he was abused and bullied and all that shit. And so he's like, fuck all this shit. Fuck all y'all. None of y'all are there for me, so F it. And, like, I was down for that, and then we kind of didn't do that. But there's a chance still, and
maybe
I'm here for that.
You may never know. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Let's do this. we again, like, that's the fun thing when you're doing stuff of like, hey, we're traveling through universes of where different things are different, things have happened differently, right? Like, that's the fun part, because you can take all that stuff and play with it and say, hey, we're in a different universe, this character didn't have this, what path would they go down? Let's have fun with that.
Yeah, and because again, when in the jungle world, I seen people like, what did they do to Tails when they make him like this munchy thing? And it's like, I don't know, I thought it was cute. I thought it was good that, you know what,
where he's just he's just a rabid Tails.
Yeah, I don't know, it was cute. I like that.
It was funny, I admit. Yeah, they call him Mangy.
Yeah. By the way, I also love that there are universes where Big the Cat is actually part of the main team. Because in the main universe and in New York, he's just a guy that's there. That's it. He's a person they know. He just lives there. And then in the other universe, he's just a part of the team.
He does nothing. He barely says anything. Why?
That's the thing. Big is a meme, Wolf. Big is a fucking meme.
He's not a good meme, though. You could put...
No, I don't like Big.
You could put anyone there. You're doing multi-universe stuff here. Let's just throw Silver in. Why not? Have fun.
If something multiple universes. I'm still, give me Blaze, goddammit. I want Blaze.
Why not? Yeah, let's do it.
Fucking crowds.
Let's be silly with this. Sonic fans everywhere.
I know Blaze and alternate dimension, but this entire show it's about alternate dimension.
I mean, there is a thing where, like, isn't there's something here from the director saying, like, there could definitely, this show might do crossovers with other Sega characters, so I'm interested.
Well, Sega characters, I've seen what you're talking about, and it is interesting because Sega characters could also mean not just Sonic. It could be Knights. It could be somebody Amigo. It could, or any of those things. So you know what? I'll be down. I'll be down to see Knights. Why not?
I mean, I'm interested if that's what they choose to do, since we're doing multi-universe stuff. But if they do that, there's one thing that I would say that I disliked about the multi-universe stuff, and that's that I felt like, other than with Tails, they played it very safe with all the other characters. They didn't try to change them up too much. Knuckles, Rouge.
Yeah,
I guess Big.
Kinda...
I guess Big. And even Amy, right? Like they felt very samey. Other than like
Yeah,
the jungle,
besides the jungle where Amy is like your main bad guy, I get what you mean,
but
but it's
even
like
then, like by the end of that little arc, she was, back to, oh, I'm cool with everyone again, more or less same-ish Amy, right? Like all the other characters felt too similar to samey. You had a little bit of like a different kind of Knuckles in the pirate world, but again, it eventually went back to its same old Knuckles again, more or less. There's no difference here.
yeah, like honestly, again, when I said Sonic Forces but good, the New York Knuckles is basically they even call him Knux, like it's not even changed.
Mm. And again, like there's nothing wrong with the character staying the same, but my issue is hey, if you're willing to experiment with Tails, experiment with the other characters. And even then, right, if we're doing different universes, right, something I would love to see is why not show us a universe where, hey, there's another Sonic, but some of the other characters weren't there for Sonic and different things happened, right? Like that's the
Yeah,
problem. Once you
because
do this, you if you don't, if you stay too samey with it, it's going to get boring very quickly. And I guess that's why they're trying to keep the pace that they have, even though it feels a little weird and a little off, so that we don't spend too much time. Because I will admit, after 2 episodes of the Jungle World, I was, I was ready to move on. I will admit, and I'm glad we did.
yeah.
We went back to New York, but at least New York was a little bit more interesting, I feel. But the Jungle World, after about 2 episodes, like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. I'll admit. Can we just move on? And we did. So can't complain. And the pirate world, I not sure I would have been wanting to be there for more than one episode. I don't know if that place could do 2 episodes. Doesn't seem like there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, like did you say in the jungle or the pirate world?
Both, right? Like again, like the Jungle World.
When,
After 2
I think the
episodes, I was
pirate
kind of
world,
tired of it. The pirate world,
yeah, but
I'm just not sure if it could handle
I
multiple
guess
episodes.
also with the pirate world, it's kind of like because in the second episode, it's the season finale, and it's kind of like it combines a lot of things. It's not even just the pirate world; everything kind of starts
just
to
happens
mix.
there. Yeah, it's like it all
Yeah.
happens within that area.
Though I will say, if we can kind of talk about individual set pieces,
Mm-hmm.
I know it probably makes no fucking sense that a creature that small is so strong, but Sonic carrying that fucking ship at super speed, that's dope as hell. That's awesome.
No, yeah, that was good. That was a good scene. That was fun.
And I do like the, obviously, and this is where I'm gonna become cynical. Obviously, when Sonic travels through the dimensions, his shoes and gloves change color because we need to sell them toys. But I do
We
kind
got
of,
Wolverine Sonic.
I do kind of like when you see him running in the figure eight, then the shape of the figure eight is colored the same as the shoes. And I
Yeah.
know it's a small detail, but I know it's something I was like, and also I also liked the super peel out look ever since Sonic CD. So this is like a personal, fun little thing for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was a nice little touch. It's little things like that that go a long way for a lot of people.
So that being said, I'm trying to think about other things.
Well, we should talk. We've mentioned them, but we've not really talked about them. Like all the different Eggmans in New York: Doctor Babble, Doctor Don't, Doctor Deep, Doctor Dunnit, and Mister Doctor Eggman.
I like them. I like them as like I also enjoy the fact that the first one Sonic fights is the baby, and that baby, holy shit. But
I'll admit there's some laughs that I got out of it too. Like it was definitely, it took me a little bit, I didn't expect it, so I had some fun with it, we'll admit. Dr. Deep, I think, was my personal favorite.
Is this the emo one? I think
No,
it's
the emo one is Dr. Don't. Dr. Deep is the one who wears the samurai and uses the samurai sword, the samurai armor and uses the samurai swords.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool too. I enjoy them. I did enjoy the when they kind of torture Sonic and like they actually torture him for real, not off screen. Did I mention that this show is Sonic Forces done right? So I think I may have mentioned that.
You say
Sonic
torture.
Forces.
They don't really torture. They just tested him and just basically like, hey, here's some mini Sonic levels. Have fun.
Yeah. So on that, I like that, so Sonic tries to like wink at Nine to get him out of there. So he does this really big plea to get out. And like I enjoy this because it's one of those moments where like, okay, we actually have Sonic in a situation where he's not fully in control, where he's not confident. He needs luck in this case. So to just see him in like at a low of like trying to get the point across and trying to stall for time until Nine gets it, I enjoyed that. That's fun. And then, like you said, they put him through a bunch of miniature Sonic levels, which I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, no, it
I
was
enjoyed
fun.
it.
We've also not mentioned it, like the times when they would do the animations in like the game style. That was also really clever.
Yeah,
Like that was really well
that
done.
that was nice. That like I kind of I thought it fit more
Like it was
with the Tails.
especially well, it was
The,
especially
ta-
nice because they did it for flashbacks of stuff that happened in the past, right? Like when these
yeah,
characters met and things like that. Like we see one with Sonic and
the
Knuckles from, I believe that's Sonic and Knuckles. I think that's what the game is called, or is it Sonic 2?
it no. So the thing is that the famous story is that Sonic 3 was split into two games. So there's
Hmm.
Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. So you combine both of them to create Sonic 3 and Knuckles, aka my favorite game of all time.
Hmm.
So it's a scene from there, and like
Yeah.
it. This was because I enjoyed it with Tails more because because it's a flashback and the characters are kind of talking over it. That was
Hmm.
the. But when you suddenly cut to this kind of animation style and you heard about it, I kind of felt, are we in Newgrounds now? Is this a Newground Flash thing? But like maybe it's just me
God,
thinking like
yes. Wow.
it it was it.
Going
Don't get me wrong.
back.
It was a nice idea. Don't get me wrong. It
It was
was a fun
interesting at
idea.
least.
Yeah, it was interesting. Um, it was interesting. I like that. But it's just when they suddenly have the voice acting there, I'm like, is this? I. But again, it's probably because I've been on the internet. So
Hmm.
it.
Fair.
But what else do you? So I enjoyed those. But again, this when they throw Sonic into this mini Sonic, so you have Sonic there, not even breaking a sweat at some of those things, right? Not even questioning it. He's just doing it because he's Sonic the goddamn Hedgehog. Of course he can do this, but especially if we take again games canon so obviously, but then he makes some silly mistakes here and there that I'm like, wait. And I know I kind of want them to not make Sonic perfect. He needs to grow. He has weaknesses, but it's also, where did this come from? Do you get what I mean? I can't think of, like, there are moments where I'm like, Sonic wouldn't do that.
Hmm.
But I don't have like specific. But the one time which really gets me, it's kind of at the start where he shows up to the fight and he's like, "Hey guys, I made it just in time," and everyone tells him you're late. And on the one hand, fair, he deserves to be ridiculed for it. But was it really a setup for an arc where Sonic needs to learn to appreciate his friends more?
Apparently,
Because
yes.
let me tell you, if there's one thing Sonic appreciates is his friends. And even in this, because the reason he was late is because Shadow caught him and they were having a fight. The one good hit Shadow lands on him is because Sonic realizes his friends are in danger and he wasn't focused. So you can't, and suddenly in the final episode, it's like, no, I won't abandon my friends again. Was this a thing? Was this a thing you were trying to establish? I don't know. Sonic was never like that.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit for the character, that has been established, especially if you're not starting over, right? If this is supposed to be a character that's already been through it all, right?
Yep.
It's hard to make that connection as a viewer when you've not, shown that that's the point we're coming from, essentially. Or you've shown that we're coming from a very opposite point that would already have learned that lesson, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
for fans. And it doesn't translate very well. And it feels like there are other things you could have done to make this character learn, or you could have shown that, right? I feel like the thing with Amy and the tree was a little clever in so much as they're not necessarily showing him caring about his friends. It's more so about
like about
listening
the
to them, yeah, and what they're really trying to tell him and say to him in regards to, like, hey, the tree was important to them, not because of the fact that it was that tree in particular, but because of, again, like you said, the memories that it held, that they had around it, right? And that he didn't get it at the time, but then he did learn that. Like, that was actually a good lesson to see him learn and grow into, right?
Yeah, and that was nice because it was a different take of the don't appreciate. It's not just the fans; it's also the memories you make with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but at the same time, the line is kind of blurry.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
And again, when he kind of needs to, when he meets the other versions, he kind of tries to again tell them, "Hey, we're friends actually, but not in this universe, but in others." It's like, again, if he didn't care, do you think he would actually go along with this to actually like when he meets Nine? Would Sonic actually try so hard with Tails if he didn't appreciate Tails as much as he does? And better yet, how does Eggman even open the gate to the Paradox Prime? He teases Sonic, but not teasing Sonic, but by making fun of Tails.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets Sonic going there. So I think that maybe the writers got confused because it doesn't. Because
it might be like conflicting writers, or it might be a thing of they're trying to go for this idea of, it's not so much that he doesn't care about his friends, it's that he doesn't appreciate them, that he doesn't realize what he's lost until he's actually lost it, sort of idea, right? But again, it doesn't translate very well. I agree. Like, it feels very weak writing wise, and that might be due to pacing, that might be just it doesn't work for Sonic, or a combination of those things. It's hard to say as of right now for this show, and maybe we'll get, again, like the thing with Amy and the tree in the jungle area, that was a good little thing that worked specifically for her. I hope in the future what they do is focus on moments like that of, like, hey, here's a moment these characters have had together, Sonic and this particular friend of his, this character has had in the past.
Something tells me,
because they did a little bit of that with Knuckles in the pirate world, right? Like, they had that, again, that flashback where you saw it was done in the old game style. They had this moment of him and Knuckles together kind of having their thing, and this was a moment that was important to them.
Essentially,
and their friendship.
Sonic also helps Knuckles in that, kind of, the pirate, Knuckles the Dread. He helps him,
gain his courage back, because he had lost and he was giving up.
Exactly.
And that's not a Knuckles thing to do, apparently.
Mm-hmm. But so you see, you have those ones, and I think, right, this is just me throwing an idea in the air because something tells me this is gonna be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the way that this show is gonna end is with all of those universes essentially coming together to help Sonic in some way, like maybe
some big Eggman threat. I kind of figured the same thing. Like, it's going to be one multi-universe battle deal.
Maybe have 9 from New York. You have Knuckles the Dread from the Pirate World.
Oh God, we're gonna get our Avengers moment. It's like where they're fighting him at the end, and then portal opens up. We brought reinforcements. God.
You know something?
I hate
Give
it.
me that.
But also I kind of love it. It's very Sonic fitting, I feel, meme wise.
Yeah. The one thing that I am wondering about is because the Chaos Emeralds do exist. Shadow uses one.
Yeah, that was such a weird thing, because the Chaos Emeralds, from my understanding, they're supposed to be these super rare, like, amazing things within Sonic lore, and Shadow just, I'm gonna break a bunch of rocks open. There's one in a rock. Great. What are the Chaos Emeralds to these people at this point?
Honestly, considering some games they just kind of need to find them,
and also the paradox prism, like, that's another thing. It feels so, like, again, I come back to aren't the Chaos Emeralds supposed to be these super powerful things and super amazing to these people and super awesome and super rare? Why did we need the Paradox Prism? Couldn't you have just made that one of the Chaos Emeralds?
I'll tell you what. With the Chaos Emeralds, Eggman tries kidnapping them like every Monday. Like, this is like a regular thing, and also, after so many times of Sonic just using the emeralds, turning Super Sonic, and beating every kind of weird anomaly Eggman can find, I get. So you know what, the Paradox Prism is just another thing he finds, right?
I feel like
he does it.
I still feel like, you say Eggman tries to steal them a lot, and it's like, well, he's really bad at his fucking job if you can just go around and break a couple of rocks and find one lying around.
That's another thing that, the Chaos Emeralds are kind of just after.
Are they Dragon Balls, essentially? Is that what we're doing? They're Dragon Balls? They just split up and go across the world?
That seems to be the implication whenever Sonic turns back from Super Sonic. That's the thing.
Sonic, weird.
A lot of franchises like this are weird. Honestly, you compare to Dragon Ball, and I know Sonic took a lot for it, but you know what? The Sonic lore is much more coherent than the Dragon Ball lore. Fight me.
I don't think it gets said enough, right? And it's really weird for that. I don't think there is another franchise that can claim this, right? Sonic is a franchise where I never know. Because I thanks to you, I've been more introduced to Sonic, I will admit, and I have a bit more of this franchise under my belt at this point. But even still, I never know. Not once have I ever been certain of, hey, I'm going into a new Sonic thing. And I'm certain it's going to be good, or I'm certain it's going to be bad. I don't know. Like, Sonic is so up and down and all over the place that you never know if it's going to be good or bad until you actually experience it, and then you walk away saying, yeah, that was good, or yeah, that was exactly what I expected. It was awful and horrible. I don't think there's any franchise that can make that claim of, you don't know what you're getting until you get it. I don't think there's a franchise that exists other than Sonic, and that's such a weird place for it to be in. And that it still makes money, because what other franchise can release something like Sonic, like 06, right? And then still keep going. Other franchises, they release something that bad, they're dead. But Sonic, it releases multiple things that bad, and it's like, we're still here, still trying. And sometimes we do it well.
Actually, Sonic Frontiers actually has a song in the credits that makes fun of it. They say, we won't
what
be
other
here.
franchise can do that as well, right? Like, hey, we fucked up. Ha ha ha, we're laughing at ourselves. Like, other franchises do that. You're like, fuck you. But Sonic does that, and everybody's like, yeah.
No, actually, some people are really sick of some of the meta stuff, but hear me out. But that's one of the things that I think is so magical about Sonic. And no matter how bad it gets, like, he's still around. A lot of franchises would be dead by this point.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that way.
There's something about him that keeps bringing people back. He's such a likable character. Again, he will never go away.
Can't kill him, apparently.
No,
Sega,
you can't.
God bless them, Sega's tried, but they haven't succeeded yet.
Well, I already made fun of go to the 9 Realms Season 4 episode for me making fun about how they actually killed him on camera and how it was a metaphor for the game almost. But regardless, I don't know how did we get here? What were we talking about?
The fact that Sonic is a weirdly placed franchise and that I don't understand it.
Listen, because you asked me about the Chaos Emeralds, and I did want to say, because we do know the Chaos Emeralds are a thing in this in this continuity, and again, if it's canon to the games, then of course, I wonder, with the Paradox Prism and characters probably colliding from different universes, what are the chances of getting Super Sonic? That I wonder.
I don't know. Will be interesting to see.
Yeah, because I think if this show is gonna do what other games did and like have a supersonic final boss, then you know what? I'll be down. I'm completely up for it. Just tell me when. Just release the whole seasons, please. Thanks. But I wonder if they only have that Chaos Emerald there so that Shadow could use Chaos Control. That's the only reason it was there
I
so
mean,
far, and I wonder.
he did just punch a bunch of rocks to find it, so it kind of feels like it's just there to be, you know, Deus Ex Chaos Emerald,
I guess.
Deus Ex Chaos
Wait,
Control, because it just
yeah,
feels so it felt so random the way he found it, right? If he
no,
had it on him from the beginning, fine, but it's like they went out of their way to show us him breaking a bunch of rocks and like, oh, a Chaos Emerald, cool. Chaos Control, let me
and,
show you that now. Like,
and of course, and of course, it's the green one because he's cemented with the green one for some reason.
it just felt so odd. It felt like we need to show people that Shadow can do this. Okay, how do we do that? And then like someone in the writing room, how about we just have him break a bunch of rocks and find an emerald in it? That's our plan. Let's go with that. No second passes, no second ideas. That's the one.
Okay, well, so I'll say this was a bit ridiculous, but it does leads for some questions that may be answered in the future.
It's ridiculous
But
to me, but like again, let's be clear here. Let's remind people, like I'm very much outside the fandom. My knowledge is very limited. My knowledge is of the Chaos Emeralds is that again, they're supposed to be this super rare, like amazing thing that they don't have all that often, and that it takes them a lot of time to get a hold of. Blah blah blah. So to me, with that kind of knowledge of them, him just breaking a bunch of rocks and finding one inside of said rock just blows my mind. But then again, right, like I guess it's not that different from Dragon Ball, where they have the Dragon Balls and the Dragon Balls can just be found wherever the fuck, because they just but I don't know, it's just one of those weird Sonic things that just blows my mind, yet it works for it. So I who am I to question it?
So to just talk about other good things I like about the show, like I said,
To be clear, that wasn't a thing I hated. I loved that. I thought it was hilarious.
well, but to talk about legit good things though, and not I one thing I maybe I should have talked about this in the spoiler talk in the non-spoiler part, but I don't care. I'll bring this up now. The animation.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
I was gonna say something too.
Like because go back to when we did Kung Fu Panda the Dragon Knight and how I bitched and moaned about how they can't use scratch and stretch squash and stretch, sorry, for on the animation like the Kung Fu Panda movies did, because it really helped the show and the fight scenes. It's like, then take a look at this again, Netflix again, CG, but they have those moments and expressions and stuff. It's such a live animation. And it's like, is this a budget thing? Is this an outsell thing? I don't know, but the show looks great.
Yeah, it does. Like it looks very good and it flows very well too. Like in my opinion, you could feel the speed of everything that was happening very well. I feel like they might have overused the slowdown a bit too much, but they did, at the very least, when they did use it, it wasn't like they really focused in on it, especially like when they show the scene of him getting behind that barrel and slow-mo riding it through all of the shots, dodging and everything from the egg bots and all that. Like, it was a good scene, and they animated it very well, and it felt good to watch, right?
Yeah. So a lot of those scenes, I really think hold to the animation. They have great camera angles. They have great, slow-mo can be a bit, overused, but
Yeah.
at the same time, that's a lot of shows, honestly.
Well, that's also Sonic too, so.
But also, actually, there were points where I think the slow-mo actually worked better because they kind of imply that this is Sonic, how he sees things when he's running fast, like how the movies did, like the Quicksilver thing.
I get it.
So,
but it feels like
I get it.
Because we had our cool scene in the Sonic movie of all that, right? Like we have to do that more now. It feels like it's a little bit overplayed. I feel like there are other ways you can show his speed through especially through animation, since we're not in a live action thing anymore. That
and again, I really like that they gave him the figure 8 thing.
That was good.
but that's nice.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, just other stuff you can do, and maybe try not to rely on the slow mo as heavily. But I do get it. It's not like it was jarring or awful by any means.
Mm-hmm. What else? What else can I? So regarding some of the alternate characters, I think I liked Nine the most in terms
I
of how
agree.
to do an alternate test. Villain Amy would probably be my second pick.
I agree.
But I enjoyed Robot Amy, and I did enjoy the pirate world and how Knuckles is just basically like, oh, I'm a captain. Let's have parties all the time. That was nice. I enjoyed that, and I also enjoyed that Biggs pirate name is Catfish.
Yeah, clever joke.
And also another thing, I kind of also like that, Rouge is a character that's not really in the games that often
Hmm. Yeah, they
today.
focus on her a lot in this one.
Yeah, but now she's part of the main cast, and you know what? It's nice to actually see Rouge get some spotlight again, because Rouge is a character that really I could take or leave. Like I'm not a big fan of hers, but I also don't hate her. So, but it was nice to see her again. It was nice to see her, actually get some stuff,
Hmm.
to do, and other versions of her, how she would be. Because I actually, again, I enjoyed her jungle incarnation where she's basically the leader. It's nice to see her being a leader. Like maybe it's also because I grew up with Sonic Heroes and she's the leader there of her respective team. But
Well,
it's nice again, nice to see her being the leader. And I think this show would give the people who ship Knuckles and Rouge a lot to cling on.
well, I'm sure you did like her because this is the same person who played Queen Sarai in The Dragon Prince.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, like she did great in this. Like I actually quite enjoyed her. I will say, like all the different versions of her felt a little too samey. I'm hoping the next season will give us like, hey, here's the
Hey, what other
very
versions can
different.
we do? Like, what are they gonna be cowboys next? Like, this is. I'm saying this. If I'm
Uh,
sounding cynical, I do wonder what other versions of them we can find, and also, uh, man, just don't. Maybe this would be maybe this is the ideal way for us to kind of get a third storybook game, because we had the Arabian Nights, we had the we had the Black Knight, the King Arthur world in Black Knight. So, and well, Sonic basically is the only one that's himself, but all of his friends are taking other roles. I wonder, did the people behind us just really want a Sonic storybook game? Because it sounds like they're really getting it on now that I think about it.
if this show wants to make all the fans hate them, they can, like they said. I would love it because it would piss the fandom off, and I just love to see people in creative positions poke at fandoms and just how far can they piss them
Yeah,
off before.
okay.
Because
Let me
I'm
guess.
just that type of person. But hey, let's bring back where's Sonic? Let's bring back let's just you've opened the door to new universes now. Let's have fun with it. Do
I
stupid
think
shit.
like the one crossover that I know people have mentioned, and I honestly I'd love seeing this is maybe if they actually use that platform to give us a Sonic Boom crossover, like just to see how that would. But which I wonder how that would work, because I guess you kind of need the Sonic Boom voice cast, which is the main game voice cast, to kind of bring it home. So I'm not sure how that will work, but if they manage, that will be fun.
Yeah. Again, you've opened up the door for this. I would like to see you explore it and really have fun with it, and
Yeah,
not just give us like, hey, it's Sonic wasn't in this universe either. Here's Knuckles, Amy, Rouge, and Tails in a different form
which is another thing
again.
I wonder. Which is I want my hand canon so far, and that's a hand canon. That the reason that Sonic is the only one that's not in these universes is because he's the one that broke
Broke
the
the prism.
paradox
Yeah, I kind
bridge.
of assumed the same thing, but
I
I would
and
like
not
to see them explore it with like, hey, here's a universe with him in it, though. and here's what happened, but it was other characters who weren't there, right? It was Knuckles who wasn't there, or it was Tails who wasn't there, and here's what happens when Sonic doesn't have like some of his friends there, right? I would like to see them explore that potentially, because
Yeah.
I feel
Because
like
another
there's
thing,
not anything
another
that is stopping them from
because I
doing that.
think they also because another outcome is because they kind of implied that as soon as Sonic broke the prism, Shadow was using Chaos Control. That's why he's stuck in between the things. So does this mean there are no other shadows in that universe?
Hmm?
Like in any one of the dimensions they're traveling towards. I again there are like it's stuff that's easy to kind of assume because they give you enough, but also
Hmm.
I would like the show to kind of to explain that, and it seems like hopefully this cliffhanger won't just be like, oh, we acknowledge it for 5 minutes at the start of the first episode, and then we kind of ignore it
Or
until the
they don't have to explain it, just give us something, just show us something, right? Like show us something like,
yeah.
oh, here's a thing of, that we're going to show you that, yeah, like here's something we can show you as to explain, help you understand why Shadow or Sonic aren't in these universes, right? Or let's show you stuff that, hey, they are in these universes, and they just weren't in those universes, right? But they are in these universes, different stuff. Again, they've opened the door. And when you open doors like this, I always like to see creative people try
Yeah,
to
like what
really
can
get
you
into
do
it and just
next?
explore it, really fuck around with it, right? I think that's the
Hmm.
funnest part. I understand you're
Agree.
probably going to be limited by Sega in some regards, but if you're not,
I
really push the bar, I think is the
honestly,
funnest part.
I think consider as long as it's like obviously there are stuff you can't do. Like I don't think like Sega would allow him to kill anyone or something. But I as long as it's like different universes, I don't think Sega has too much restraint on them. But maybe I'm wrong.
Mhm. But yeah.
So, is there anything to really say? I think I covered most of my points. Again, I think it's a great show with a few rough patches, but who knows? Maybe some of the patches. I know that future seasons have the ability to. So,
Well, I mean, I guess,
I
we could ask
yeah,
anything in particular you would like to see from season 2, or any particular
I guess
character or event or kind of world. We've
one
mentioned
thing
it
I would
here or
love is
there.
I guess maybe one more dimensions because that's the gimmick, I suppose. Sonic traveling through dimensions.
Any
But
particular
I
thing you
also
would like to see, like dimension wise, right? Like any
maybe
particular world.
I guess we did pirates. Then maybe cowboys or maybe again something. I think one of the concepts for the storybook game because I mentioned this was actually to do like a Greek mythology kind of thing. So you know what?
Hmm,
Let's go with that. Let's
interesting.
make them all gods. That'll be interesting.
Could be fun.
Um, what else? I probably need to think. Maybe one where they're just in space.
Hmm.
Obviously these characters been to space, but one that they're maybe just stuck in space or something. I would like to see more Shadow and how he plays into the whole thing. Maybe he and Sonic need to team up because they're the
Hmm.
only ones who have the ability to travel through this thing. But I also would like to see more dimensions crossing over,
Hmm. Hmm.
because like in the final episode.
Yeah.
So because we saw the New York crew arriving at the pirate world. So you know what? Let's see more of this, and I also want to see what they'll do with Nine because it seems like they have a plan for him.
I hope they do, like 9 becomes big bad villain. I hope we get big bad villain Tails. I hope. That's my hope. That's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
I'm
see
not
him
sure.
become the villain, all because Sonic wasn't there for him.
Mhm.
And Sonic has to be here
Well,
for him now. I want to see that. That's what I want to see. I think that would be
right.
a lot of fun.
That could be fun. Because again, Nine was one of the things I like the most about this season. Also,
Agreed.
give me more action sequences. Give and also maybe try and settle regarding how you want Sonic to act. Like get a bit more of a grip on him, and the fact that you are essentially doing main Sonics who's been through adventures and stuff and is already experienced.
Mm.
Play more on the flaws he already has. Don't create new ones just for the sake of a plot.
Mhm. Agreed.
So with that being said, anything else? I think I covered most of my points.
No, I mean, overall, like, I'm interested in seeing a season 2. It was
Mhm.
good.
I,
You know,
I'm
I
interested
didn't hate
too.
my time with it.
That's um, that's all you can ask for with the show, really. So I believe this is it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What do you think about Sonic Prime, and what are you expecting from the second season? And how would you rank Prime when it comes to the rest of the good Sonic content we got this year? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye bye.